In 1990, the typical Alabama swagger turned into a bit of a limp as Gene Stallings started out 0-3 in his inaugural season as Alabama's head coach. The losses to Southern Miss, Florida, and Georgia didn't have the coach rushing back to the drawing board to change his game plan, however, and by the third Saturday in October, the Crimson Tide had posted wins against Vanderbilt and Southwest Louisiana. But many were convinced that Alabama wasn't yet ready to run with the big dogs in Neyland Stadium. Tennessee was undefeated and ranked third in the country. The Vols were thinking of revenge against the rival they had not beaten in 4 years. Few thought this game would go down to the wire, but when it did, a stingy Alabama defense and a veteran kicker from the heart of Dixie was ready to make the 1990 Alabama-Tennessee game a Crimson classic. Welcome to another installment of Crimson Classics. I'm Gary Harris. Following the 1989 football season, Bill Curry resigned his post and headed for Kentucky, leaving Alabama to find its third coach since the legendary tenure of Paul Bear Bryant. Now, some thought Gene Stallings would follow Coach Bryant, but that task fell to Ray Perkins, and the right time for Coach Stallings would come in 1990.
So this was, 4 or 5 years later that we're talking about. Gene was available. He was interested in getting back into coaching. I think he'd even interviewed at Navy. Hootie Ingram knew of his past record at Alabama, knew of his interest in the job. And so he and the president flew out there and made the hire.
Stallings' debut wasn't memorable, a 27-24 loss to Southern Miss, who was led by a talented senior quarterback who went on to NFL fame.
People forget that, the Southern Miss team that we lost to had a guy named Brett Favre who's going to end up being in the Hall of Fame in the NFL. Of course, he was on that. And then they had to kick a long field goal to win that game. But it was hot, and trying to adjust to a new coach. And, our offense changed. Our defensive staff was a little better than the previous one. Things change, and you just go, God, I can't believe it. You never would think you would be 0-3 at Alabama.
Not only had Alabama lost its first 3 games under Stallings, the Tide lost a starting skill player to injury in each of those games. Tailback Saran Stacy against Southern Miss, then receivers Craig Sanderson versus Florida and Prince Wimbley in the Georgia game, all succumbing to season-ending knee injuries. Outwardly, Stallings was confident that things would turn. He wasn't just concerned about injuries, however. The Tide wasn't making the plays it needed to win games, missing tackles and struggling in special teams. All of that adds up to a loss, he said.
Sometimes he was very different from what they would see in the news conference, because in the news conferences he was always, well, if I had my rathers, we'd do this. Or he would always say, if I had to, it's a privilege to play this game. You play the game so you can make 3 or 4 plays, and that decides the games. And he did have this grandfatherly approach. He just reminded folks of their grandfather. Now, what I think the average person didn't understand was, when it came to getting on his assistants and getting on his players and getting on officials, he was tough as nails. He didn't take any quarter from anybody. He was as intense, and I think if you asked a lot of officials who got on them the worst, it'd be Gene or Coach Stallings. He was, there was that thing he projected, which was real, with the way he was, but also, you better come to work.
We certainly believed in what we were doing, and the approach we were taking was the right approach. And I think we lost a couple of games, there that we could have won, should have won probably. You got to make certain, you can't jump around, change, or second guess yourself. You got to believe in what you're doing. And I think that was one thing that we did. And it was certainly, I know Coach Stallings believed strongly in this approach that we were taking.
Alabama stopped the bleeding with wins over Vanderbilt and Southwestern Louisiana, and the Tide had an off week to get ready for the third-ranked Vols, who entered the contest averaging more than 42 points per game.
It meant everything. I think Alabama came into that game with a 2-3 record or something like that, and I didn't give them a chance. And I don't think many people did.
Now, I didn't think they were going to beat Tennessee, and I don't think a lot of other media people did.
Media outside the state of Alabama had fallen in love with the UT offense led by the arm of quarterback Andy Kelly. Sensing a Vol blowout, local and national media poked fun at Alabama and its fans. ESPN's flamboyant analyst Lee Corso said that for Tennessee, the game would be like going against a high school team. None of that, as you can imagine, sat well with the Bama players.
Well, leading up to that game, Lee Corso, basically came out on ESPN. You sit around on game day and you kind of watch it, and he basically laid a challenge down and said, hey, they're like a high school team. How in the world can Alabama be on the same field with this glorious Tennessee team? It's autumn in Tennessee. They wear orange. The leaves are orange. Prisoners wear orange. How can you compete with that?
Well, the folks in Knoxville were anxious. They hadn't beaten Alabama in 4 years. But with the Tide struggling out of the gate, and the Vols with one of Johnny Major's best teams, the time was right to end the streak. On paper, it looks as though the Crimson Tide doesn't have a chance. But football games aren't played on paper, they're played on the gridiron. And the two most storied football programs in the SEC will decide this one on the field when Crimson Classics returns. Alabama was ushered into Knoxville by 90,000 plus orange-attired fans, and they were ready to talk trash.
They're taking digs, and literally dig is the word, at Coach Bryant and Alabama fans, and they are cocky. If there's ever been a team that's ripe for an upset, it's Tennessee. Unfortunately, I'm not sure whether Alabama is ripe enough to do that this afternoon.
The game was about to start. The fan chatter and the media antics were about to go away. And the two most storied football programs in the Southeastern Conference were about to do battle.
Tennessee brought that extra feeling of excitement. It was a great setting to play Tennessee, and it was the big game. It was kind of the turning point in the season for us.
And I was just talking just this morning with Jimmy Harper, the old SEC official. For about 25 or 30 years, he was probably the premier referee in the conference and one of the best in the country. And he said he always thought, from the time he first started until now, that the Alabama-Tennessee game was the greatest game that he ever covered.
Yeah, I hate Tennessee, but I hate's a strong word. Dislike a lot, I hate them. But they hate me too, so it all works out.
All the chips were stacked against us, so that made that third Saturday in October very special to us. There's some games that you just rise to bigger occasions, and one of them's Auburn and the other one's Tennessee. And I think everybody always hold those two games close to their heart.
If you look at this thing on paper, we're supposed to get the hell beat out of it today, so I just hope that's not going to happen. I think we're going to play as hard as we can, but Tennessee's got a great football team. Alabama
won the toss and deferred. Then the Tide set themselves up in great position after a Tennessee miscue on the opening kickoff. Darrell Pickett caused a Del Carter fumble, and Eric Washington fell on it for Bama.
The coaches talked me into deferring. Ordinarily, I don't like to do that, and I think it was a great decision. And we get this fumble on the opening kickoff. Eric Washington causes this fumble, and Darrell Pickett comes in there and recovers it, and now all of a sudden it sort of swung the momentum.
Momentum wouldn't stay in one place for long in this game, though. Robert Jones tried the right side and was hit for a loss on Bama's first play. Derek Lassick followed Matt Hammond for 7 yards on second down. And on third down, the Vols defense snuffed out a Gary Hollingsworth shovel pass to Steve Buskey. That brought on Philip Doyle for a 36-yard field goal attempt, a chip shot for the All-American.
all of a sudden they fumble the ball, the offense gets the ball, and my mindset coming off the field, I probably wasn't as prepared as I should have been because that's never happened before.
Here comes Phillip Doyle, almost Mr. Automatic. A 36-yard field goal attempt. Phillip is 67 of 90 for his career, 13 of 14 this year, kicking it towards our left. The kick is up, and the kick is no good. The kick is no good by Phillip Doyle.
And I go out there, the ball's up on the right side, and it's a short field goal at that. It's like a 35-yarder. And I just kicked the ball straight if you watch the tape, instead of just having a little bit of a draw to it. And I think that goes back just to a mental state of the game.
Tennessee entered the game averaging 42 points and 500 yards of offense. The Vols' first play, though, would be a tone setter. Tony Thompson was turned back by Steve Webb, and Robert Stewart and George Teague snuffed him out. Spencer Hammond and John Sullins wrapped Thompson up on second down. Kelly's third down pass was way off the mark, so the Vols had to punt, and Bama's defense realized they could hang with the nation's best offense. On Bama's second possession,
what I remember after the game is just fighting the whole time, man. It was just a big heavyweight fight. They weren't doing much, and we weren't doing much.
after a poor punt, Tennessee moves into field goal range. From Bama's 28, the Vols go to the air on 2nd and 8. Sophomore George Teague comes up with a huge play early in the game. But instead of Teague's return giving Bama the ball near midfield, an illegal block forced the Tide to start from its own 10. Bama couldn't get out of the shadow of its own goal line and was forced to punt again after Hollingsworth's third down scramble wasn't enough. After another poor Bama punt, Tennessee was in great field position, and this 13-yard run by Thompson gave the Vols a 1st and goal from the 7. On 1st and goal, Thompson tried the right side. He got 2 yards before Sullins and Byron Holbrooks brought him down. Thompson tried the left side, and Mark McMillan and Stacy Harrison were there to stop him at the 2. On 3rd down from the 2, the Vols tried to go back to Amsler, but the Bama defense said no way. Jeremy Nunley, George Teague, George Thornton, and the rest of the Tide defense piled on to stop Amsler for a loss of 1. Greg Burke's field goal gave the Vols a 3-0 lead, but keeping them out of the end zone was a victory for the Bama D. As usual, Alabama's tough defense was getting the job done. But could Hollingsworth and company put any points on the board? More action when Crimson Classics returns. As a senior, Gary Hollingsworth had assumed complete leadership of the Bama offense. But remember, it was only a year earlier, in 1989, that he entered the season as a seldom thought of backup to Jeff Dunn.
But here's a guy that never even, I don't even think, dressed for a game. I don't even think they even carried him to a game until 89 when he was back up to Jeff Dunn, and Jeff gets hurt, and then Gary comes in and just takes over. But the offense fit what he could do, and was a great leader by example. I mean, I think he was ready to declare that his senior year before it ever started. And then, of course, Jeff gets hurt, and then Gary comes in and just does a marvelous job. And he was so smart and just could run that offense and really was in sync with what Homer Smith wanted. With Homer Smith, you had the freedom to check. You checked anything. Any play in the playbook was a play you could check to. Just call it and check to it. And Gary was always good at putting us in positive plays, looking at the defense. And I'll never forget, in 90, we didn't have really a check system in place. We just ran the play that was called. Stallings' philosophy, hey, the offense ain't gonna cost us this game or whatever. Just do enough to win it. And we had a play, and we Gary goes opposite, which basically just run the play the other side of the field. If it were running a sweep, you'd run a sweep to the right, you'd run a sweep to the left. So Gary, basically everybody's the same, and he comes in there and he goes opposite. And we run it, and we run it. I think it was against Florida, and we pick up about 28 yards on the play. And I'll never forget Coach Stallings. He's about halfway on the field calling timeout. He's like, "What in the world are you doing?" And Gary's like, "Man, I just ran it. We just had a checkoff. We don't have checkoffs." So what was so funny was the next week we come in and we put a check with me system, and basically it would be that sweep, and then the other play would be a dive. That was it was a check with me system. It wasn't a true checkoff system, and I always thought that was funny. He's like, "All right, we're going to run sweep to the right, or if you want to check off, if you really want to not run the play, we're going to run a dive to the left."
On first down, number 14 drops back, but everyone is covered. Tennessee's Bradley dumps Gary for a loss of 1. With under 4 minutes to go in the first quarter, Hollingsworth hit Buskey on this play-action pass for the Tide's first down of the football game. The next play was a handoff to true freshman Chris Anderson that gained 2 yards. Nothing would come easy against this Tennessee defense. Donnie Finkley hauls in a short pass from Hollingsworth to bring up a critical 3rd and short. Hamilton's favorite son bootlegs right for the first down. A little late there, partner. Add 15 more for the Tide. On Tennessee's side of the field, with the clock winding down in the first quarter, it's Anderson off right tackle for a gain of 8. It's Anderson again, this time for a short gain of 1. From the 36, it's Robert Jones for the first down. As quarter number 2 began, the Tide was looking at a 2nd and 10 on the Tennessee 34. But this 5-yard loss on the screen to Anderson had the Tide just outside of Philip Doyle's field goal range on 3rd and 15.
He was a student of the game. He kicked and he kicked and kicked until he got, to the point where he knew what we knew when we got close to the 35 or 40, we got a chance at the field goal, because Philip had that kind of confidence, and Coach Stallings put that kind of confidence in him too.
The one thing I do remember, every time we got the ball, my whole career at Alabama with Philip Doyle as a kicker, is all we have to do is get the ball to the 30-yard line and we hit 3 points.
Needing just 10 yards to get into Doyle's automatic range, Hollingsworth does one better and connects with Finkley for 17 and a Bama first down. With the Tide in business at the 22, they tried again on the ground, but Anderson was shut down for a 2-yard loss. The Tide was outflanked on the left side of the toss sweep to Anderson. He lost another yard, bringing up another 3rd and long. The Tide needed 13 yards on this 3rd down play. The Utah pass almost works to perfection. Anderson is hit just a yard shy from the first down marker. Philip Doyle with a chance to atone for the earlier miss, once again from the right hash. He wouldn't miss twice, and the field goal draws Alabama even with Tennessee. 3-3 early in the second quarter. All of a sudden, Tennessee had a game on their hands, and they looked to get the vaunted offense going. On 2nd down, Amsler gets the call, but Whammy Ward trips him up a yard shy of the first down.
Kelly, the quarterback, pitching it back. Thompson going over left side. He is smothered by the Alabama defense, short of the 30-yard line. That time, it was Antonio London and Mike McMillan joining John Sullins on the stop. Alabama's defense has been doing a super job in keeping the 90,000 out of this ballgame. You got that right, because the Tennessee offense hasn't really been able to work anything at all against the Alabama defense, and as a consequence, you've got a quiet 90,000 folks. They got to punt it.
Tennessee's Chapman gets off a 42-yarder. Bama's ball. First and 10 from the 41. Hollingsworth to Mr. Dependable Lamon Russell for 15 yards on the first down, and Alabama was on the move again. It was the 23rd game in a row that Russell had caught at least one pass. The confidence grew with Robert Jones' 10-yard run. Bama had the ball across midfield. Centers Martin Houston up the middle, another big first down. Houston dodges a bullet on the next play, falling on his own fumble to maintain possession for Bama. Birmingham's Robert Jones replaces Houston, but Jones can't hold on to the football, and this time the Vols fall on it to stop the Tide drive in its tracks. Midway through the second quarter, the Vols had the ball back, but the Bama defense wasn't giving an inch. Majors calls a trick play that turns into a joke. Byron Holbrooks on the stop. Kelly to Amsler for a short gain, bringing up 4th down. With the second quarter clock winding down, the teams traded punts. Kelly took a knee to run out the remaining 8 seconds, and the teams headed into the locker room, knotted at 3. A double-digit underdog entering the game, Alabama had played the Tennessee Volunteers to a first-half draw. Coach Stallings had gotten the type of game he loved, and he knew what it would take to win in the second half. The first half of action was certainly a defensive struggle, although Alabama got the better of it offensively, winding up with 143 yards of total offense, while the Tide defense did a number on the Vols. Tennessee managed only 71 yards of total offense. But halftime is always key in a big game, and both teams made adjustments.
Well, basically, I think Coach Stallings saying the offense just don't turn the ball over, and I think Gary took that to heart. A lot of times he didn't put us in bad situations by throwing the ball. He threw it away or threw it in the ground or over the receiver's head. But the defense, Coach Oliver and Coach Dubose put together a great defensive plan, and they executed to the utmost. And the offense just did enough to keep the ball on the other side of the 50.
First of all, it was a long halftime. You know, 20 minutes is quite a while, and we were through with all of our talking with about 10 minutes to go. So we had an opportunity to get a little rest. We deferred the first half because we wanted the ball to start off the second half. I felt like the first 5 minutes of the second half was going to be crucial.
Robert Jones takes the second half kickoff straight up the field to where Gary Hollingsworth will try to manage Bama's second scoring drive. Sophomore Derek Lassick for 2 on first down. This time, Derek has a spiffy 6-yarder on second down. Then Tennessee jumps off sides, giving Bama a first down. 1st and 10 on the 36. Hollingsworth fires complete to Lassick, who's hauled down immediately. A 5-yard gain on the play. On second down, fullback Kevin Turner gets the call. He hesitates, looking for a hole, then falls forward to the 43, a 2-yard gain that brings up 3rd and 3.
Well, Bama's playing a good ball game here. 3rd and 3 now, doing what they have to do. Hollingsworth audibles at the line of scrimmage again. Underneath Schultz. On the fake to Lassick. Across the middle, complete. Buskey, first down, he's open. He's to the 40, to the 35. He's being pushed to the 30. He's on his feet to the 27-yard line and finally hauled down by a host of Orange. Jeremy Lincoln and Dale Carter on a 30-yard reception by Steve Buskey, the tight end. What a pretty play.
Robert Jones up the middle for 2. On 2nd and 8, Jones finds a path on the right side for 9 big yards. The former Mr. Football in Alabama dances it up the middle for 6 more. On the 10th play of the drive, dead on the 10, it's, you guessed it, Robert Jones again for 2, Sean Walker and Dale Carter on the stop. On 3rd and 2, is Coach Stallings playing it safe?
To our right, Binkley goes wide left, Hollingsworth under center, Lamont Russell wide right, the backs are in the eye, Turner ahead of Jones, Hollingsworth looks, he rolls, he throws, in and into the hands of Buskey in the end zone. Oh man, so close to a touchdown. Roderick Lewis was right there in Buskey's face, but they had a good play called right there, Jerry Duncan. They went for it all. This will be a 26-yard field goal attempt for Philip Doyle. The spot and snap, the kick is up, and the kick is good. Bama's on top. Alabama takes a 6-3 lead.
Nearly half of the third quarter is over, and the Vols are just now getting the football. As great as Tennessee's offense may be, it can't score if it doesn't have the ball. Senior Tony Thompson scoots outside for a nice first down run. On 2nd and 3, Roland Poles picks up plenty for the first down. On 3rd and 10, Kelly looks to pass again, but scrambles toward the marker. 2 yards shy when a gang of Crimson Tiders converge. Kelly, the quarterback, stays in on punt formation on 4th down. His kick was a good one, and so was the coverage, down at the 1-yard line. After a delay of game call, Martin Houston gets the ball and plunges ahead for a yard to give the Tide a little bit of breathing room. The Tide trying to mix it up on 2nd down. Hollingsworth goes to the air, but there's nothing there, so Gary tosses it out of bounds, incomplete. Hollingsworth tries to pass again on 3rd down, but with nothing there, he doesn't try to force it. He scrambles, and the Tide is forced to punt. With the clock at 5:18 and punting from inside their 2, Bama needs a boomer from the tank. And it's a goodie. And good downfield coverage as well by Ward and Clay, but the Vols still have pretty good field position. Coach Stallings stalked the sidelines as Tennessee's hit with a 15-yard penalty. So on 2nd and 25, Kelly's screen pass to Amsler brings up a 3rd and 15 from the Tide's 49.
Bama's up 6-3. First completion since the first quarter there for Andy Kelly. He'll pass again. He drops back. He'll throw long down the middle. Everybody's there in white and crimson. Intercepted by Alabama. Intercepted by the Crimson Tide. Coming back is Antonio Langham. He's to the 20, to the 25, 30. He's on his feet, spinning loosely to the 37-yard line. Antonio Langham with his first interception of the year and number 5 as a team for the Crimson Tide. And Alabama doing the job as the only people back were 3 crimson and white clad players, along with a trailing Tennessee receiver, and Antonio Langham, the freshman from Hazelwood High School in Town Creek, gets the pick.
With an about face and fill position, it's Turner up the middle for 4. Great tackle there by Tennessee's Sean Walker for a loss of 3, bringing up 3rd and 9. Hollingsworth from the shotgun goes to the air, but throws it behind Lorenzo Cole. After the Bama punt, Tennessee picks up a first down, but the Bama D holds them from another. The third quarter comes to an end with a score, Alabama 6, Tennessee 3. Alabama had won the battle for respect from the Vol Nation, but that certainly wouldn't satisfy Stallings or his players. The Crimson Tide was looking to ensure that this tremendous effort would not go to waste. The fourth quarter when Crimson Classics returns. Up by 3 with 15 minutes to go. Can the Tide hang on for a third Saturday in October victory? With Andy Kelly completely ineffective, Johnny Majors decides to go with his backup, Sterling Hinton. Watch number 44, Spencer Hammond, pressuring Hinton and covering the receiver all at the same time. What a hit! Hinton on second down throws to Reeves, complete across midfield. The ball is knocked loose, but Reeves is ruled down on the play. Hinton moves the chains again with a completion to Carl Pickens for the first down. Teague and Harrison there for the stop, but the Vols behind their backup quarterback are threatening. On 1st and 10, Clemens McCroskey carries for a couple. Hinton goes deep, looking for Pickens in the end zone, but the California native Ephraim Thomas has good coverage on the play. After a UT penalty, it's 3rd and 13 from the Bama 45. Hinton is back to pass.
Hinton at 3rd and 13 from the Alabama 46. Sterling drops back. He's in Alabama territory under pressure. He is going down. George Thornton, thank you. Right there with Byron Holbrooks on the scene for the moral encouragement. And Thornton just puts him down. 3rd sack of the year for George Thornton. He had 2 for a loss of 24 coming in. And the 1st sack of the day for the Bama defense.
Got in that time, Thornton, with some help. There was a couple of 3 guys back there. Dropped Hinton for a big loss, so the Vols have got to punt it away.
After Tennessee's punt, it's Bama's ball inside their own 20. With 11:42 left in the game, on 1st down, Hollingsworth pitches it to Jones for 6. On Bama's second play of the drive, disaster. Robert Jones has the ball knocked loose by Hardy, and Walker recovers, handing UT the ball deep in Tide territory. With Andy Kelly back in at quarterback, the Vols go to work from Bama's 33. It's Thompson on the carry, but George Thornton and Byron Holbrooks are there for the tackle and a 1-yard loss. Kelly looks for Pickens down the right sideline, but Bama has perfect pass coverage. On 3rd and 11, Kelly scrambles out of the pocket, finds Pickens over the middle, wide open, but he drops it. 4th down, Vols. On 4th and 11, the Vols have no choice but to go for a Greg Burke 51-yard field goal. But he hits it right down the middle to tie the game at 6 with 10 minutes to play. On 1st down, it's Hollingsworth back to pass, intended for Donnie Finkley. Hollingsworth back to pass, scrambles out of the pocket for a nice 6-yard gain, setting up 3rd and 4. Hollingsworth moves to his right looking for Finkley, but Tennessee has good coverage, so number 14 throws it in the stands. With Bama's 3 and out and a poor punt by Tate Williamson, the Vols have the ball near midfield. With 8:54 left, it looks like Tennessee is ready to stick in the dagger. Kelly finds tight end Von Reeves for 8 big yards. After the Vols pick up a 1st down, the Tide defense, combined with an illegal procedure penalty, set up a 3rd and 15 from Bama's 44. Kelly scrambles out of the pocket with some room, but the hustle by big George Thornton keeps Kelly from the 1st down. From Bama's 35, Tennessee's Greg Burke is close enough to attempt his 2nd long field goal in 3.5 minutes. This one is 52 yards. It has good direction, but it's just short. Alabama is hanging on by a thread in Knoxville. Bama takes over with 6:46 left in this 6-6 defensive struggle. Hollingsworth tosses it to Anderson, but the Vols are there for a 2-yard loss. On 2nd down, Hollingsworth finds his tight end Buskey, but the sophomore from Suitland, Maryland can't hang on. With the clock stopped, the senior from Hamilton sets up the shotgun, but the Vols' Chris Mims blasts through the line of scrimmage, dropping Gary before he can get started. After Williamson's 42-yard punt, it's Hinton back in at quarterback for the Vols. On 1st down, he calls his own number and dashes for 6. It's Hinton again up the middle for a 1st down, inside Bama territory. With the clock just under 5 minutes to go, Hinton scrambles left with Bama's Spencer Hammond in hot pursuit. Hurriedly, the Vols quarterback launches the ball towards the end zone. It's up for grabs. Bama's Charles Gardner is in perfect position for the interception, but he can't hang on. On 2nd and 10, it's another quarterback draw. Bama Sullins, though, is ready, knocking Hinton off his feet for a short gain. For 56 minutes, the Bama D has come up large, making play after play. And on 3rd and 8, they do it again. 4th down. Watch as Haleyville's Byron Holbrooks pressures Hinton to throw the ball away. Tennessee's Kelly is back to punt, hoping to back the Tide up deep. It's heading for the left corner. It looks like it's going to head into the end zone for a touchback. But no, the Vols' Lee Wood makes a great play downing it at the 1. 3 minutes and 50 seconds to play, and Alabama's offense is completely on the skids. Hollingsworth does all he can to avoid the sack on 1st down. And nearly the same story on 2nd down. The pass to Chris Anderson ruled incomplete. And make it 0 for 3 on the 3rd down attempt.
Any kind of return by Carter this time would put Tennessee immediately in field goal range, and with just 3 minutes and a half left to go in the ball game, you got to like their chances. Williamson gets it away. Carter back to the 46-yard line. He cuts to his left. He cuts left further to the far hash mark. He is being pushed out of bounds at the 35-yard line.
With the Vols on the edge of field goal range, Johnny Majors played it close to the vest. Thompson carries for 3 yards before Ephraim Thomas and George Thornton take him down. It's Amsler on 2nd down for just a yard before Robert Stewart lays a big hit and the rest of the Tide defense finishes him off. Six, just 2:22 left, and the Vols already inside Burke's field goal range. What a game. Another October showdown and the amazing ending to another 3rd Saturday in October Classic when we return. "57 minutes and 38 seconds of fall Saturday magic has led us to this classic college football ending. Let's watch as these two giants battle to the finish. On 3rd down, the Vols try to surprise Bama with an empty backfield. And if not for an outstanding play by Ephraim Thomas, this game might have been sealed. From Bama's 33, Greg Burke is trying his 3rd 50-plus yard field goal in the game.
Burke missed from 52. He is hit from 51. Martin the snapper. Julian the holder. Burke making a block. Blocked by Alabama.
It was an amazing turn of events. You know, frankly, not only blocking Tennessee's field goal attempt, but the fact that that block rolled probably 25 or 30 yards to put Alabama into field goal position, that's really what prevented that game from being a tie. I'm not sure. Alabama didn't just march up and down the football field that day either. Did a great job in the kicking game, you know, had some field position, but they were going to struggle to get into field goal range had that block not gone completely backwards.
Of course, when the ball ricochets off Stacey Harrison's face mask and goes back 25, 30 yards, probably the best offensive play we had all game. Basically, the whole offense right now is, our mentality is, let's get this ball, let's try to pick up a few yards, but let's get this ball towards the middle of the field to give Phillip Doyle a great opportunity. We run a little trick play right here, try a little deception. You see right there, the linebacker read that all the way, because on that play, he's got to watch the tight end, and when the tight end went inside, he was there really unaccounted for to block that.
We wanted to gain a little ground to help the chances, the odds of the field goal had been, but we didn't want to get it out of position. And off to the side that would give the kicker a tough angle.
Every foot's important. That's a psychological thing if you don't have to kick it over 50 yards.
Bama's Kevin Turner does just that, moving it closer and keeping it in the middle for the kicker from Birmingham.
With 4 seconds to go, Philip Doyle is on the field. He's standing alone at around the 40-yard line. Philip, well, field goal kickers are sort of loners anyway.
They call timeout with a few seconds left, and I walk out and get my bearings and get my mark for Jeff to put the ball down. And as I'm going through this, everything is very, not surreal, you might say, but everything's in slow motion. I mean, I have no problem focusing on where I'm kicking the ball. It's almost like, hey, I'm ready to do it. Let's go ahead. It don't matter how long I'm out here. I'm in the zone.
There we are, set with 4 seconds. And most important, you got to get the snap. Johnny Howard's the deep snapper on this. Jeff Wall's the holder. Did a great job. He's about the size of a T, but did a great job. Felt comfortable holding for Philip. And they were friends. They went way back to like elementary school together.
Jeff Wall was a very interesting relationship. We went back all the way to we were 6 years old and played soccer and baseball and football together. And of course, his father being Dink Wall played at the university, and he was on the Bear Bryant scholarship. And I told him if he would walk on, I would try to get him on to the football team, being a holder. He actually had a scholarship to go to Sanford to play wide receiver at the time. So that's how our relationship forged into the University of Alabama. And today everybody looks back as Jeff and I and Johnny Howard has been one of the better tandems, you might say, as special teams.
This would be a 47-yard field goal attempt. The longest of his career was a 53-yarder against the Temple Owls back in 1988 at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. This year, from the range of 40 to 49 yards, Philip Doyle was 3 of 3 coming in. This is for the win, folks. Plug in your pacemakers. 4 seconds to go. 37-yard spot, a 47-yard field goal. The spot is there. The kick is up. The kick is straight. The kick is good. Alabama wins. Alabama wins, but there's a flag on the play. There's a flag against Tennessee. It is declined. Alabama has defeated the Tennessee Volunteers by a final of 9-6 here at Neyland Stadium.
Subconsciously, I thought the field goal was blocked. I mean, when I kicked the ball and I got hit, I thought the first thing the game's over. And then as I looked up and I was laying down, I saw the ball traveling, and I knew without even looking at the goalpost where it was going. I knew it was good.
Well, here comes Philip lined up, and of course you'll see they'll throw a flag later for roughing the kicker. You see Philip get drilled, but he drills it through.
We said all week that all the media hype and everything else, but the game was going to be settled between the players. And we sort of had a little slogan during the week, let's everybody try to make the difference. And I just can't be proud of our players and our staff putting together an excellent plan and going out and executing it. And it just shows what a bunch of guys can do if they're determined. And it was a great victory for Alabama.
By the way, I never got my cigar. That's the whole thing about it was we got to celebrating, and and I stayed on the field and I was doing interviews. And after the game, my quote is saying that we ought to pay property tax on Neyland Stadium when we own it. That happened after that game because I was so fired up at Corso that got me, and I didn't even know about property tax. I don't know where that came from. Just, sometimes genius just strikes you. So I was too busy, they always pull players out to talk to the media, and that's what I was doing, and barking and yelling, and just so happy that I missed out on the cigar. I'm upset over that. Do you have a cigar?
And Alabama has evened their season at 3 wins and 3 losses on a 47-yard field goal, and the Alabama fans are doing somersaults on the field here at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville. How about that?
And the fact that they went up there and played the way they played at Tennessee, I think, looking back on it now, why were we surprised?
It meant everything. I think Alabama came into that game with a 2-3 record or something like that, and I didn't give them a chance. I don't think many people did. Just an amazing game.
For us to have any possibility or any chance of this thing to win this game today, the odds makers had us anywhere from 11 to a 14-point dog. You come in here in front of 98,000 people, and I don't know, they raise, you've got to go to a higher level, and these kids, they played above their ability, I think, and good gracious alive. What can you say, Eli Gold?
So Alabama wins it by a final of 9-6.
From a double-digit underdog to a 3-point winner, Coach Stallings and the Crimson Tide turned the 1990 season around with this third Saturday in October battle. This victory would pave the way for the great teams of the early 90s and that amazing run in 92. But that's for another time and another edition of Crimson Classics. For the Bryant Museum, I'm Gary Harris.
To purchase a DVD of this program, visit the Paul W. Bryant Museum at www.bryant.ua.edu or call 1-866-772-BEAR.